Hello, everybody, and welcome to our comics preview show that we do every Tuesday. We are Infinity Flux. I am Jason,
I'm Andy.
and welcome to our show. A lot of great comics to talk about this week. If you're a
Yeah.
comics lover, a comics reader, there is a lot of issues coming out that we have the pleasure to have previewed,
hmm
and we're going to tell you about them. We'll tell you what's important, what's not important, without spoiling them.
Yeah.
We try to do a relatively spoiler-free show. So we might say, like, hey, there's a major first appearance in this, but we're not going to just tell you every little detail.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll tease you why you may want to read this, or we'll tell you, hey, you want to read this, but we won't tell you why.
Yeah, that's no fun, just to spoil the whole thing. So, okay, I think, why don't you go first, Andy? What have you read
I
today?
will go first with what was probably one of my favorite books of Future State Wave One. Now we actually have a issue two, our first issue two, I believe. For we got next Batman number two,
Correct, yeah.
um, but this is number two for Future State Batman Dark Detective. So this continues the story of Bruce Wayne, who, if you know what's been going on, he's thought dead, but he's actually now functioning as kind of a what's a nice way of putting like a cheaper Batman. Like he doesn't have all his tech.
Very lo-fi.
He doesn't have his Batcave. He doesn't have any of the stuff that really
No money.
no money.
Not
Like
even a nice hotel room.
no, you find out in here where he's living.
Yeah,
You find out what he's been doing. I think it's really cool in this that you see kind of what is Batman without the things that make him Batman. Bruce Wayne really has to prove himself as capable without all of his gadgets. So that really leaves him, with the name Dark Detective, he's definitely relying more on his detective skills in this. You
yep.
really see him going through some evidence or putting clues together, which I thought was really cool to see. He doesn't have all of the gadgets, but we do find out in this why they think he's dead, or how did that all play out. Why does everyone now assume that Batman is dead and Bruce Wayne is
Yep.
dead? I think that's a really key point in all of pretty much all of Future State. Is this one of these pivotal moments where Batman is no more? What does that mean for Gotham? What does that mean for the Magistrate, the big villains in this? They're getting cocky now that they've said they've pretty much killed Batman. So I really like this issue. I love number one, and number two was great. This also has a backup story about Red Hood. That is a really interesting story because it definitely goes places I did not expect with where Red Hood's allegiances lie.
Right.
Uh, we've always kind of known him to be, I mean, originally straight up villain, then kind of vigilante.
Very outskirts of the Bat family.
Just, yeah, to the point of not wearing a bat symbol most of
Yeah,
the time.
right.
So you can always tell his biggest thing is he's just trying to survive. He will team up with whoever to just make it out alive. So this follows him working some missions for maybe not the good guys, and he's teamed up with a familiar face to people who maybe have read some Teen Titans or that kind of thing. And we kind of go on this little mystery with him about what kind of some of the crime going on in Gotham right now under the magistrate's rule. So I was really surprised by that. I even forgot there was going to be a Red Hood tie-in with
Yep.
it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm interested to see where this goes, and if this is where the Red Hood story that's going to be in the new Batman series is going to kind of pick up with these ideas. So, yeah, that is Dark Detective number two. I think we may already be out all of the variants too. It was a very hot issue.
Yeah, we ordered based on pre-orders, and we did even more than that. But as Future State has gone on, it's just heated up.
Mm-hmm.
More and more people have wanted to get into it, and so like the variants have just really dried up.
Yeah.
But we still have plenty of the regular cover for those of you who are local or who shop from us online.
Yeah, and if you want to read it, I was hand selling number 1 to people, being like, if you don't read any of the future state stuff, I feel like if you're a Batman fan, you'll like this one. I feel the same way about this one. I could, now sell number 1 and 2 to people, being like, this is a great story. Like, whether you know anything about future state, if you want to just see a kind of future version of Batman, I think this is a great one.
Yeah, I've read Dark Detective as well, and I concur that it's a really good read. I have to say it's the only Batman thing I've ever read that made me feel like maybe Bruce Wayne was more broke than me for 1 minute. I was like, wow, you're broke, Bruce Wayne. If I knew you, I could loan you a
Where
little bit
he
of money.
lives is not glamorous at all. He does not have a butler.
And the people he lives with are pretty amusing.
That is another part. You find out who his kind of roommate is, and it's a perfect roommate for Bruce Wayne.
They're saying in Next Detective, or in the next Batman, rather, I'm getting the two crossed over. They're saying in the next Batman that he is somehow going to save Gotham. That's been the solicitations the whole time, pretty much. If that's going to happen in next Batman, I feel like what might be going on in Dark Detective is I think he may take down Peacekeeper 01, who is the main villain of kind of the whole future state thing. So that's why I think that book is also going to be really relevant. Now, whether they're going to cross over and do it together or not, I don't know. But I feel like, Bruce Wayne's been killed by the magistrate, has to go underground. He's going to be the one who really pulls the system down, or at least the main villain.
The cover of issue 4 of this is like him on a building top fighting Peacekeeper 01.
Yep. Okay.
So that makes me think like we are heading towards a one-on-one fight with that, and could be a cool parallel with like him doing that, and then what's next Batman doing to take down pretty much the whole magistrate infrastructure.
Maybe also to change the way the people of Gotham feel.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones that are also allowing this to kind of happen to some degree through their complacency. So.
Yeah. It's really interesting, though.
Yeah, and both those series are the 4-parters. Almost everything in Future State is 2 parts, except for those. And so I think, you're going to get your major threads of this is the main story of Future State.
Kind of the main...
As good as a lot of the offshoots
The main Gotham story.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So. Okay, so I read all the King in Black tie-ins.
All of them?
This week.
A lot.
I think I might have read all of them.
You probably have.
So I have 4 of them I'm going to talk about in succession. The first one is the Daredevil number 26. This is King in Black tie-in. Follows a very popular issue 25 where Elektra gets her Daredevil costume. So what happens in this one is, without spoiling too much, Daredevil is in prison. Everybody knows that. It continues with him in there. And, of course, the forces of the Null are attacking the planet. Well, guess what? They're going to get into the prison as well because they might want something in there. If Daredevil's there, who else is in that prison? So here Daredevil is trying to cope with that as he's locked up, trying to,
He can't even get peace in prison.
Yeah, and he also can't really help when he's caged up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, outside the jail, Elektra has taken over as Daredevil for Hell's Kitchen. Null's forces attack. She has to deal with that. But one of Daredevil's major villains gets nullified and takes it very personal and comes after her. So that's really interesting. I'll also say about this issue, there's a very shocking last panel that is really cool that has me itching to read the next one. So for our spoiler-free show, that's all I can say. It involves Daredevil himself. That's what I'll say.
So does Elektra, is she wearing the new costume in this?
Yes, the whole time.
Cool.
Yep, she is in effect Daredevil for Hell's Kitchen while, the regular one is in prison. This also has this cool variant.
Kind of go side by side.
Yeah, I see that. You're right. I didn't even realize that. That totally goes side by side.
Are they reaching for each other or away from each other? You decide.
I've decided away from each other, but you could be right. In addition to that variant, we actually from last week have the 1 in 25 design variant. We have one of these left for $25 for anyone who has a pull box with us or who is a local customer. So the next one I read was Savage Avengers, which is number 17. Now, this is typically the Conan show. I mean, Savage Avengers has literally turned into the Conan show.
Yeah.
It was kind of the Conan and Venom show, but now it is just the Conan show. In this issue, Conan ends up in jail due to what happened in the previous issue. And Deadpool shows up. I won't tell you in what capacity, but the two team up. It is really hilarious what they do to get out of prison. That's all I'm going to say.
Conan hating Deadpool.
You would think that, but he doesn't know him well enough yet, is what I'll say. Like, Conan in the Marvel Universe has been great because it's almost like a child in the Marvel Universe. And what I mean by that is, Conan is from a world where he feels very certain he knows the lay of the land. It's evil wizards, it's barbarians, it's thieves. So when he meets people in the Marvel Universe, he always runs them through that filter. So he's not like, oh, you're a superhero. He's like, oh, are you a wizard? You must be from this god. Or it's really interesting watching him meet characters from the Marvel Universe and take them in his own way. And then he's always so effective. Conan, he's never outgunned in any of this, which is really awesome.
When you said he's in prison, I'm like, oh, that's not the first time that Conan's been put in shackles and managed his way out of them.
Yeah, so this was this issue made me laugh out loud. It literally did some of the antics that they get up to in trying to escape prison. Of course, Null's forces are attacking. And it all sort of culminates in a mystery of, does Conan have a history with a codex? And that's all I'll say on that. So sort of a cliffhanger ending to this one. There is a variant here with...
That's more what I expected Conan to do with Deadpool.
Yeah, I will say this does not represent what goes on in the book whatsoever, though. So I think they wanted to show, well, what if Deadpool went to Conan's land? what would it be like? Okay, so next up I have...
You talked about
whoops.
Daredevil?
Yes, I did. Here they are.
Yep.
Next up I have Deadpool. This is issue number 10. This is actually the final issue. So it kind of snuck up. I feel like
that was surprised. Yeah. Nobody knew that was the final issue.
I didn't until recently. I think they kind of kept it to themselves. So Deadpool, the series has been really cool. He is the king of Monster Island. He's king of the monsters. In this one, of course, Null's forces attack. So he's like, hey, I have an island full of monsters. And basically, he holds a casting call for who the deadliest monster is. And it's that thing where, it's like the 9-panel grid, and you get to see all the different people showing up, and his notes on them. Very funny. This one made me laugh a lot as well. You get to find out what happens when Deadpool puts together his monster force, some of which is effective, some of which is very silly, and they go up against Null's creatures. His little land shark there gets in some grave danger. You'll have to read it to find out what happens, but that is the last issue of Deadpool for this series. And then the last one I have is King in Black Namor number 3. Okay, so I've talked about this one since the beginning because this was the first tie-in.
Yeah.
The number 1 came out, and Marvel promised it'd be a tie-in. I read it patiently, and I said, okay, where's it tie-in? I read the second one. I said, where's that tie-in? Okay, well, I've read the third, and I have to tell you, there is not a lot of tie-in to this. The only thing I saw is they have this group called the Swift Tide who has changed their name to the Black Tide, and their members speak in black word balloons. I almost feel like they added in the black to the word balloons. The story itself is very cool, but as far as a King in Black tie-in, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it ties in heavily. I'm not sure how it ties in at all. So cool story if you like Namor, if you like underwater sort of adventures. I mean, somebody put a lot of work into this, but King in Black tie-in, very, very light. Here is the variant to that. A lot of cool action in it, though. I'll say that.
Okay.
Yep, that's all the King in Black stuff.
King in Black. So, this one I really like. This is Future State Aquaman. If anybody knows me, they know Aquaman is my favorite character. Not jokingly. I get that a lot. People saying, what? Aquaman? No, he's my favorite character, always has been. So I was very excited to get to this because you see on the cover, you don't see our orange and green blonde bombshell of Arthur Curry.
Yeah.
No, this follows Jackson Hyde, who was the Aqualad during way back during like Brightest Day. He carried over into some of Teen Titans. He was in the Young Justice TV show. So since this is in the future, he is now training Andy Curry, who is Aquaman and Mara's daughter, who was just born not that long ago in the main ongoing Aquaman series. When that just ended a few months ago, she was just a toddler. Well, this is in the future, so now she's an adolescent, and she's kind of being primed to take over for Aquaman. We do know, like in Future State Justice League, she does end up being the new Aquawoman, and in this, it's really funny because she kind of has a chip on her shoulder about she's ready to be Aquawoman, but they don't think she's ready to be it. Well, her and Jackson Hyde, who is now referred to as Aquaman, are out. They just apparently fought Black Manta, kind of the end of an adventure. Then something happens, something weird. The water changes color, the sky changes color, and they realize that somehow they have moved dimensions. Okay, I don't want to spoil it, but they've moved dimensions where they are in kind of this. It's kind of described as the ocean that moves between all realities. So that's one of the stories. The other story that's kind of interwoven between it is even further in the future. You can't tell really how long, but Aqualad has been, or Aquaman now, Jackson Hyde has been captured and kind of interrogated, and they're asking, where is this Aqua Woman or whatever, and it's setting it up to be pretty crazy because the way she's kind of referenced in this is she's scary. Somehow, some way, Andy Curry, you learn about what her powers are. They're not the same as her father's. And the way that Jackson Hyde kind of talks about her is, oh, just wait, she's coming. And it's very ominous. So, really interesting. It's not just because Aquaman's one of my favorite characters, but I think this was a really, really good read. Sets up some really interesting stuff and sets up where she kind of ends up, I believe, in Justice League. So, that is Future State Aquaman #1. Definite recommend. A lot of fun, but also really interesting, a lot of mystery to it.
Okay, I'm going to get away from this for a minute to talk about one. So, out this week is Star Wars High Republic #1 second print. This is actually my personal copy. So, not everything we show on the show is up for sale. This show is also a show where we just discuss and we give advice. If you can find this out in the wild, I definitely suggest you pick it up, and here's why. They had us retailers put our definitive order for these in before the #1 released.
Mm-hmm.
So even though we talked about this on our Comics from the Future show and we urged people to get it, not that many people signed up. Or not as many as we know want it. Quite a few signed up. In fact, if you signed up for this, if you put down for this, you have it right now. We got it for every single person. And my personal copy is not for sale, but like I said, the show is an informational show as well. The reason I think this is a very good spec item is my bet is there are less of these printed than issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's my bet. Because of them soliciting it in kind of a cockeyed manner and making us retailers have to put our orders in before #1 dropped, the orders were not heavy. So we're just letting everybody know who watches the show. If you can find this anywhere, I would grab it. I'd put it aside. I'd hold on to it. I'm apologize. We have no more for sale. They all went to people who pre-ordered on Comics from the Future. which we do every single Friday. So check out that show in the future. And if you're one of the people that did pre-order, congrats, you definitely have one. That's all I got.
Yeah, yeah. But for everyone who just wants to read it, we do have the third printing coming
Yes.
within a few weeks. I'm not sure how long. There is a third printing coming. Definitely recommend picking that one up too. But that one we actually got to place after.
Correct. After the first order, so a lot
So
more
everyone
people came in
knew.
asking for it.
Yeah.
And we tried to get people to sign up for the second print. We did, and that's most of the people who did get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But we don't. This show, it's not just a sales show. It is an informational show.
Right.
So, but we are out of those.
So the next one I want to talk about, one that we do have available, is Batman Black and White #2. So this is the anthology series that each one of the books has 3 or 4. Let's see, I've got it written here. 2, 3. Yeah, so I believe there's 4 stories in this. They're all by different creative teams. So if you're not reading the future state stuff, or you kind of want to go back to having some of that classic Bruce Wayne Batman, this is great. It's got stories by Tom King, Sophie Campbell, Gabe Hardman, Dustin Weaver, David Aja, and they're all done in very interesting, their own way. Like the David Aja one is like you turn the book like a calendar and you read it like that, so it's laid out long ways. The Tom King one, really interesting because it's with Mitch Gerards that he did, Mr. Miracle with and Strange Adventures. And I believe it's the Gabriel Hardman one, features the Joker in it. So really cool. If you picked up #1, great. But even if you didn't, you can pick up #2. These are all just standalone stories in this miniseries. But also it had some really awesome variant covers. So we have the Doug Braithwaite cover.
Yeah, that's great. Braithwaite's been doing some really nice stuff.
Yeah.
I've noticed. His stuff has
I think
started
he's
standing
the
out
artist
to me.
on ENIAC, isn't he?
I
Coming
believe
up,
so.
yeah. And then we have this awesome variant.
A lot of DC to go over this week.
It is, yeah, very DC heavy.
It's been that way since Future State. So the next one I'm going to go over is Future State Suicide Squad. So this takes place in the year 2030. So that's about 5 years into Future State. Most of the Future State books take place in 2025. So this has an A and a B story. The A story is about the new Suicide Squad. The B story is a Black Adam story. And I'll tell you something. If you're looking for a book with a lot of new characters, some taking up, new mantles.
Yeah.
This is your book, because the A story has a double splash page with so many new characters that explains who they all are. And then the Black Adam story also has a double splash page with a bunch of new villains explaining who they are. And I'm not saying these are first appearances. They're not. It's mostly people who have been around before taking up new mantles, or they're coming back, or they're joining different teams. So if you like a book with a lot of characters, this is for you. I was really interested in it. I like a lot of characters. I like character designs. Because look at that. That's not Batman. I can't tell you who it is. That's definitely not Aquaman. Look at that. Look at that mug. So there is definitely a Suicide Squad. One of the teams. Yes, there's 2 different teams in this actually. By the end of it, one of the teams is kind of a team of hero fakers, which is really interesting. And by the end of it, you will find out there's another team, and the 2 are probably going to be going up against each other in the next issue. The Black Adam backup story is really cool. There is a new sort of team of villains that destroy one of, if not the most powerful superhero ever in DC. That's all I have to say. You'll have to read it to see what I'm talking about. It's sort of a new version of an already super powerful character gets destroyed, and it's up to Black Adam to do something about it. So
I think that's cool because we know Black Adam's going to be in the new Justice League book when it starts back.
Yeah.
In March. They're really kind of setting Black Adam up because they know that he's got a movie coming up.
Yeah.
So getting him back in front of people.
They are, and here is the variant for that. I guess the only other thing to say is, of course, with the Future State Suicide Squad, Amanda Waller is definitely at the center of most of it.
And since it's Suicide Squad, there are characters that die.
Yes, yes. There's a good bit of conflict in the book, and not everybody makes it out alive of issue 1.
So I will talk about something that I didn't get to read. I just got a chance to flip through. I wanted to make note of it because just on the off chance, I was like, oh yeah, Captain Marvel is at issue 25. Well, 25 is kind of a landmark issue. They tend to celebrate, integrals of 25, 50,
Yeah.
75.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh,
The Centennial System.
yeah. So I was like, I'll check this out, flip through it. This is really interesting. If you have been following Captain Marvel, if you know what's been going on in Captain Marvel with this kind of future version of some characters, definitely a future version of Namor and his daughter, I believe. Is his daughter or son is in it. But we also know there is Bridget, who is Thor's daughter from a alternate reality. Well, we'll just say she finally takes up the mantle of her father in a pretty definitive way. So when I saw that, I was like, "Oh wow, this is kind of a big deal." So definitely want to check out Captain Marvel 25. It's got a really cool character reveal at the end of it that is pretty exciting. There is also, we have the Stormbreaker variant cover, the Juan Cabal, for only $20, but Stormbreaker variants that have been kind of this new group of artists at Marvel spotlighting them. So I think this is, no one's really talking about this yet, but I think this is going to be pretty big considering what happens in it. So keep that on your radar.
Okay, I'm going to talk about another Future State book. It is Superman versus Imperius Lex. So this book is interesting in a few ways. For one, it is set in 2050. So that is 25 years after Future State has begun. If you've watched our previous shows, Superman, for most of Future State, he's on some other world, some like war world, but in 2030. Well, this is 2050, and guess what? He's back because it's regular Superman. He is back. He's not on that world. So this story is set a little away from regular Future State stuff. There's nothing to do with the Magic State. Batman's nowhere to be seen. In this, Lex Luthor, he runs a planet that has been very prosperous so far. Because if there's one thing he's good at, it's sort of just business and taking care of himself.
Whatever world he's
whatever
on.
he considers to be his own. Well, he decides to join the United Planets, finally. And this is all about him. He's petitioned United Planets, have a meeting, we want to join you. And, of course, they meet, and Lois Lane shows up, and she's not really for it at all. So they've
got a history.
Yes, quite. They listen to Superman, who also shows up, and Superman goes into this sort of long tale about some stuff that's happened between him and Lex and this planet. And when all is said and told, his perspective on Lex Luthor and what is going to happen if they let him in or not to United Planets, it's very different. It's not what I expected. So this is not a one and done. This is a 3-parter. So it does have something that happens at the end that will make you kind of want to check out the second one. So
it's interesting that it's a 3-parter. That might be the only 3-parter out of Future State.
Yeah, I believe you were correct because there's the 1-parter. There's most everything is 2 parts. And then there's the 2 books that are 4-parters. So this is the only 3-parter.
It makes you wonder, like, what did the writer pitch that they said? Okay, 3.
Yeah,
we'll break our rules to give you 3.
I know.
But that one's interesting. That's one of the ones that felt like is the most mysterious going into it. Is like, okay, so what's Lex Luthor doing? What's Superman doing in this?
Yeah, it seems like they want to keep Lex Luthor relevant, probably for other plans.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I will talk about, I believe it's my last Future State book. Yep. This is Future State Legion of Superheroes. And boy howdy, it's a Legion story. So if you're a fan of Legion, if you've read some Legion, you know that what Legion is about is a bunch of characters with a bunch of powers and kind of the conflicts they're in. So it's interesting because they're, for the most part, they're new Legion characters. We have a few familiar ones. We know like Bouncing Boys in it. There is a version of Brainiac. I believe it's Brainiac 7. So he's a couple more iterations past the previous Legion. And we find out that this Legion, or this United Planets that was set up in Superman, when John Kent kind of started like this coalition of planets. He did that, and then he joined the Legion. We learned that this only, I believe, lasted 100 days before something happened, and it did not work out. There's a big fallout between the Legion of Superheroes, and they say no more. One of them even goes as far to say, "Don't even like say the word Legion." So something horrible happened here, and a former Legion member shows up and says, "Hey, we need to get the crew back together." So why they're doing this and what this has to do kind of with the overall future state, you'll have to read it to find out. There's some very interesting characters, a lot of new characters that you kind of get a hint of what their powers are or kind of what their parts they play are. But very interesting with all, I think Legion is a big thing, is very interesting designs, very specific powers that are like, you probably couldn't hold your own book, but in a group, there's a couple of times where you come in very handy. And you can kind of see them on the variant cover. So really cool variant cover. You see down the bottom, like I believe that's a new version of Bouncing Boy, which is it's very ugly. You can see the head kind of snaking out there. That's the new Brainiac. Very interesting characters. I am excited to see what happens with this because it is Brian Bendis writing this. He was writing the previous Legion series, so this is all part of his big Legion story. You can definitely tell he's had these ideas in the works for a long time. So if you like Legion, if you like kind of superhero sci-fi, it's very Legion-y. Check it out because it's a lot of fun. Riley Rossmo's art is amazing as usual in it.
Okay, I have my last future state I'm going to talk about, but I will say this is the strangest future state plot line out there. I can almost guarantee. So this is Future State Batman Superman. It is a two-parter. It is set in 2025, which is the same time that next Batman is set. Wonder Woman Yara Flor is set. So why is this strange? For a few reasons. First and foremost, there are these people. Well, I have to get this right. Yes. So this involves a group of people who are using something called a false face serum. So right away, false face serum, very odd. It's an illegal drug. It lets you change your face to any other type of face. I think like animal face. So you have these people with these weird animal faces who are taking this false face serum. And are they good? Are they bad? Either way, it's doing bad things to some of them. So Batman and Superman get involved.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely a case where you need the greatest detective and the strongest man on the planet to stop people taking a false face serum. The other thing that makes it very strange and interesting to me is this is in 2025. Well, look, that's not next Batman. That's Bruce Wayne. So I was just sort of like shocked on the timeline of it. So this must be the earliest Future State book. This is before Bruce Wayne is presumed dead. I don't think it'll tie into his death. I seriously doubt it. But when you see some of the art of some of the false face creatures,
it's very Wind in the Willows.
It's very strange, very bizarre. So if that sounds appealing, this is out right now. It is a two-parter. This is part one. Let's see, and yeah, and also this is before Superman's gone to space. Because you know Superman is like sort of vanished by 2030 when his son takes over. So yeah, it's just a very I wonder how much they talked about the timeline when they wrote this one. But it still was a fun issue to read.
Kind of a Brave and the Bold or like Batman, Superman, like that the old series kind
Yeah,
of team
yeah.
up.
I, I,
World's
I
finest.
would say so. So that's the last future state I have to talk about today.
Let's see. I have something just to mention. Uh, we're a big proponent of telling you about Spawn on the show because it is back. It is awesome.
Yep.
It's, you know, probably as popular as it's been in years and years because it's really good. And want to show off this is issue 314, which does have the return of the Omega Spawn, which is a really interesting character if you go back and look. There's a whole series called Image United that was like a team up between Spawn and Savage Dragon and Witchblade and like all these characters. The series never ended, but the big villain in it was the Omega Spawn. And it was written by Robert Kirkman, which is super cool. But that series never ended. It had like a 0, a 1, and a 2, I think, and never finished. But Omega Spawn's back in this. He's a giant horned, just like the ultimate version of Spawn. So if you're not reading Spawn, it's still a good time to pick it up. It's a lot of fun. It has some really cool variants. So you've got your Greg Capullo doing just classic awesome Spawn. Then you have the black and white version of that. McFarlane's doing an awesome job getting really great artists together for these. And then you have the Revolver variant. Kind of a new artist that's been working on these. Really, really nice. So, yep, check out Spawn. It's great. It's fun. It's crazy.
There were so many books to go over today. I didn't have a chance to read every single one of them. So I'm going to go over a few that I know are out. I know about them, but I have not actually sat down to read my copies. The first is Department of Truth number 5 is out. This is the last issue in the first arc of what has been a fantastically popular, very strange. I don't think anyone saw this one coming. Really creative series by James Tynion. So this is out as of tomorrow. As stated, it's the last issue of the first arc, so sure to be some revelations. I did sort of flip to the end. I know I shouldn't do that, but I decided to see. It has 3 different variants for me to show off.
That one you need to see in person. It's super creepy.
Yeah, just an air of creepiness to it. And then there is, of course, our lady with the X eyes, bones behind her. And if you didn't get enough of her, check this one out. That might be the best one.
Yeah,
with her.
Tulo Tay cover is really nice.
Yeah. So Department of Truth number 5 available as of tomorrow.
Let's see. And then I have. This could be the last week of. Well, no, we have the Black Widow Alien cover coming out. In a few weeks, but this is the last, I think, big week of Alien Marvel meets or versus Alien covers. We have X-Men versus. Oh yeah, it's the Queen Alien. Just making sure there's the Queen Alien on there. Then we have probably one of my favorites, Wolverine, just giving the old uppercut to an alien. Really, really cool cover. We have...
Yeah, they really released a lot of the Alien covers this week.
Shang-Chi giving the alien a good old kick in the jaw. Probably biting his little mouth when he does that. It's a really nice Fantastic Four homage to the that Mole Man issue.
Yep.
Fun to see Queen Alien out there in just the bright sunlight. We have the Daredevil, which if you didn't know, it'd take you a minute to notice that this is kind of how he sees them. So you've got the alien there in the background.
How he here sees them.
Ah, yeah, here sees. And then we have Captain Marvel doing her best Ripley impression with her flight jacket sneaking around the ship.
I'd like to see Captain Marvel get in the robotic suit, but then she just rips it to pieces because she's stronger than it.
She's stronger than the load lifter thing.
Yeah.
And she can fly in space. So, also not a big deal.
There you have it. So the 5th issue of the fantastically popular series, We Only Find Them When They're Dead, by Al Ewing, is also releasing tomorrow. It comes with a spoiler variant that I'm going to show because I'm going to spoil it.
Oh
There, it's
no!
spoiled.
But that's the ending, right?
They were nice enough to cover up the spoiler variant. I'm really glad about that. So honestly, these are polybagged. I have not opened one, so I don't know the spoiler. So, but I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like when they do stuff like that. We also have for sale the Del Felici 1 in 10 variant for $15.
Flying into the mouth of that celestial god.
Going to do some dental work. And we have the 1 in 25 Virgin variant for just $20. The colorist on this, I mean, we always bring that up.
Yeah.
The colorist is just so good.
Pulls a heavy load with that, adding all the atmosphere. Is that all you got?
No, I have a little more. So, real quickly, I'd like to mention the 2nd issue of John Ridley's The Other History of the DC Universe drops today. DC comes out, of course, on Tuesdays. The number 1, that just kind of got more and more popular as people read it and talked about it.
Very interesting format, how it's written.
Yep. And lastly, Wolverine number 9 is out. I wanted to show that we have the 1 in 25 brown variant for $20 to anyone who is local or has a pull box with us. And that is it.
That is it. That's all I got.
Yeah. It's a big week. Yeah, we were looking at everything spread out, and we were like, "Wow, this is a lot to talk about this week." But I'm glad. We had a couple small weeks back there during the holidays, but now it's all booming again.
Yeah, and it seems to be booming for a few more weeks to come.
Yep. So, and DC has now announced a lot of plans post Future State, which is good.
We got a new Robin series. We got a Green Lantern series.
Teen Titans Academy.
There's a new Justice League team. We got Batman returning. I think we'll be on Comics from the Future. We'll be talking about those in about 2 weeks. So those are already just right on the horizon.
Absolutely. So as Andy was saying, we also do a Friday show called Comics from the Future, where we show off all the upcoming comics and covers while they are still available for order. Things like Star Wars High Republic.
Just to pick one out of the
second
air.
Print. We will show you all that stuff, tell you what we think you might like, what we think is going to be hot. Every single Friday, it is we film it on Facebook Live, and then we put it on YouTube immediately. We have kind of groups that watch us on both. So wherever you watch us, we do appreciate that. So I guess this is the end of our Tuesday preview show. Thank you very much for tuning in. We keep picking up more viewers all the time on YouTube. I think we're heading towards 450 subscribers now. Yeah, we'll get to 500 one of these days. So thank you all, and have a great rest of your day. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And we are with Infinity Flux Comics. We'll put some order information up if you're looking for a good store. We do ship all over the country. So thank you and have a good day.